and putting some restrictions on Chrome plugin developers, which is great. Don't install Sketch plugins in Chrome anyways. Like, install it if you've ever heard of the software company before, like the EFF and Google. They have okay Chrome extensions. Google, I'm not so sure about all the time, but like most of their extensions are okay. This was interesting. So far in 2018, ransomware is kind of leading, or was leading until it recently got toppled by crypto mining as the leading type of malware out there, because I guess bad guys find it easy to inject JavaScript into websites and have you mine random cryptocurrencies for them. So that's neat. So I guess they're making money that way. So really they navigate to whatever's making them the most money per investment of their time at the time. So right now that seems to be the hotness. So that's kind of cool. It's also bad because, bad guys are using your computer to make money.
It's hilarious when you actually get it to pop up before people are writing proper blocking rules of that shit.
Yep.
My computer would be on some innocuous Chrome tab and it would sound like a hair.
Yeah, so if you ever have a Chrome tab that's using 100% CPU as opposed to 100% of memory, which Chrome tabs normally do, then it's probably some crypto miner that's doing that. Some people say they don't mind too much. Some people say they wouldn't mind if websites did that to generate revenue instead of using advertisements. I'm not sold on it because I don't like that you're taxing my CPU, because that's going to cost me as the visitor more in my energy bill. It's going to put more strain on my laptop. It's going to it's going to make my hardware die sooner. So I'd rather turn on an ad blocker and not see your ad than have you use my machine for mining cryptocurrency. Is Monero still the hotness though for that? Does anybody know? If I was a bad guy and I wanted to start making people mine crypto for me, is it Monero? Is that?
Monero was always except they developed within plugging this stuff back. So.
Yeah, I just want to know if that's what all the bad guys are still using.
Well,
I guess we could figure
it
out.
out. Mining going with more popular stuff. Monero was actually the most profitable of all these major coins for a while.
Because it was allegedly more private or something like that? Yeah.
And plus 29 is just 20.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Apparently, if you have a router in your house, odds are really good that it has terrible software on it, which is not so great because if bad guys can take over your router, they can just use it to do stuff like DOS people or mine more cryptocurrency, but routers have crappy processors in them. So it's a good idea to update your router software if you ever remember to do that. If you're a person who's not in this room and isn't an IT nerd in general, you're never going to do that. So anybody who has a regular home router that's vulnerable is just sort of screwed. That's until it dies and they buy a new one, right? That's the nature of that. So it's a really positive week in Infosec news, in case you didn't know.
The even better part about that is a lot of ISPs won't let you change out the all-in-one modem router monstrosity.
Yeah, that's true. Don't ever get the all-in-one if they give you the option. I don't like those ones where it tries to be your wireless access point, your modem, and a local switch, and just to be all the stuff. Yeah, no, they're never great. Just use their modem and then get a better one. Yeah. Yeah. It's a great graphic though. It's really cute. Anyways, the software in them is bad. They're just full of vulnerabilities. Writing firmware is really hard. A lot of routers and a lot of modems, though, are complex. If you crack open a modem, I'm not suggesting you do this, but if you do, you may notice that, even just your ISP's modem they gave you has, 2 processors in it. They have, really complicated boot sequences because they have to sync up as they boot. It's weird. It's hard to write that code and make it work, so...
Also, you can really see how thrown together a lot of the all-ones are when you put, WRT on there.
Yeah.
You have 18 different interfaces that you didn't know existed before.
Yeah, totally. That whole world of homebrew custom OS routers is interesting. But again, that everything else is just code, so it's got phones in it. Whatever. Apparently the Facebook hack wasn't as bad as we thought. We thought it could be up to 90 million, then more like 50 million. Hey, we're down to only 30 million people. So that's not the population of Canada or anything, but that's cool. I'm glad it's down to only 30 million people. Thanks, Facebook, for that. Yeah. They're the ones that came out with the new number. They figure it's down to that. So maybe they did some more in-depth analysis and found out
Is that an acceptable number to lose your people?
I mean, what's that as a percentage of their overall user base? What's Facebook up to these days? Like a billion or more? More than a billion? So what's 30 million's like not even a drop in the bucket to a billion users. But if you're one of those 30 million users, it sucks, right? There, yeah. Oh, awesome. Of their total active users, interesting that they say active users. Like, do I count as an active user because I sign in once a year to accept my family's invite to a barbecue? I don't know. I don't know if that's active or not. What do they consider active? Interesting though. Neat. So I guess it's not as bad as they thought. So that's kind of good, I guess. This was awesome. So some security researchers got the contract to go and do an audit on a bunch of really expensive U.S. military equipment. If you don't know, the U.S. spends a stupid amount of money on their military. Like, we're talking in the trillions here for all their super cool, systems and weapon systems and fly things that look, I don't know, that's a weird drawing. But the researchers found, they could guess a password to some of these things in about 7 seconds and fully compromise and actually control the weapon system in under a day. So that's good. Nice to know that, they're getting solid, secure software for the trillions of dollars that they're sinking into these people. And that, weapon systems can be compromised and controlled by attackers in under a day. Awesome.
How hard is it to get a government contract anyway?
Well,
Just
to be
bid the
fair,
lowest.
They don't want.
We'll do it
They
for
just want
20
employees.
Yeah. So here's a great quote. Testers routinely found mission-critical cyber vulnerabilities in nearly all weapon systems that were under development. Sweet. Let's see. Yep.
Showdown at Gatling gun?
Yeah, a lot of this, they had a really tight timeline to work under, and they still found stuff. They don't patch. They get the patches, but they don't test them, and so they don't apply them. Just loads and loads of issues. So, awesome. Legacy software is going to get someone killed. Just flat out. There's our title. Yeah, that's going to happen. So, good. Awesome.
Imagine a drone that gets configuration files off of an FTP server that's using NetWare.
Here, USB port for maintenance. Just walk up with your laptops, plug into a USB. That's my weapon system now.
Bad USB to freaking...
Yeah, awesome. So there's that. There was a lot of data breaches in the first half of 2018. That's a lot. Compromised 4.5 billion data records in the first half of 2018. I think they're estimating that 1/3 of U.S. adults had their identity or personal data compromised due to a data breach in the first half of the year. So that's awesome. Yeah, that's a lot of records. I don't know what you do with that. Change all of your numbers all the time, I guess. I stopped caring about my credit card and my debit card getting skimmed because I just go in and I change my PIN number now once a month, or I change the password.
TOTP PIN number for your credit card at this point?
Yeah. I don't know. We just assume that people have your data these days. It still sucks. You should still try to protect it, but likely you've been out there, you've been compromised, so that also sucks. Yeah. Hopefully, some of the new legislation coming out will at least make companies end up paying some sort of fine or consequence for not securely dealing with your information. Hey, how many days are we off from that? What's that? 7, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 days until it's mandatory breach reporting in Canada. So that's lovely. Get ready to start receiving lots of emails and letters to your home address saying that you were part of a data breach. That's life for a lot of Americans in a lot of states right now. So sweet. I tried to pause this video at a really flattering shot of John. John, if you're watching this, I hope you like that. You should watch John's talk though. The link, you don't actually have to sign into Facebook to read the link, so that's great. There you go. Just go. Yeah, he's a little tired. Different time zone, So yeah, John, who is one of our alumni and stuff, and has done talks here before, did a great talk on a lot of what he does at his day job and some of the bug hunting and things he's discovered and things he's noticed, some observations he's made. You should watch it. It's really good. John wasn't the only person from our little group here who was in the news this week too. Alana did interview with Kim Crowley for the Tripwire blog, just about women in Infosec and stuff like that. It's a big Q&A. Go through it. They have some good discussion. You should read it. It's good. I would recommend. Yeah. They get into everything from like advanced persistent nation state threats to just getting in like neat ways that people found themselves in security, because everybody ends up in either the industry or this program in a really weird roundabout way. Like there was a guy in my class who the only reason he ended up going through the program is because he showed up for the information session. He thought he was showing up for the information session for the telecom program. Went into the wrong room, listened to the info session for this course, and was like, oh, that sounds cool, I'm going to take that instead. Like people just, weird ways they find this program. We haven't done a clickbaity title in a while, so I figured this sounded nice. 6 dark web pricing trends. So let's find out what's hip and new on the dark webs. I haven't gone through this one yet. It should be great. Credit cards with keys on top of them are a hip pricing trend. Price rise in the fraudulent credit card market. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe because why? Law enforcement pressure. Oh, that's actually kind of neat. So good. They actually took a hit. It costs more to buy fake credit cards now, so that's kind of cool. You used to be able to buy them in bulk. They used to have really good web interfaces for like buying in volume based on geographic location, different type of credit card you want, what kinds of balances it has, and there was like a web app, and you could just do some drop-down lists, determine how many you wanted, and then buy a whole bunch of credit card numbers for really, really cheap. But I guess that's getting harder, so that's nice. What else we got? Oh, online bank creds. Increased. Oh, good. From 2015 to 2018 by around 10 to 20%. Okay, so credit cards getting more expensive, but your bank creds, there's more of them available, so that's cool. So bad guys can log in as you and do stuff. Good. Use 2FA on your bank account if you have that. Full identities. According to Armor, prices for full identities rose 10% and 39% for people living in Australia and parts of Europe. Oh, that's interesting. Prices in the UK and Canada stayed the same, while prices in the US decreased because of all the data breaches. It's been noted in a few different research papers that like any other market, all this illegal data that people are selling about you, it's a supply and demand thing. If there's lots of supply, the demand goes down, so the prices go down. There have been times where you can buy a full set of someone's personal information for like a couple of bucks. And when I say full set, like we're talking name, address, phone number, date of birth, SIN number or SSN or whatever, depending on which country you're in, and all that kind of stuff. So, but there's been times when it's gone up to like 15 or 20 bucks a person, depending on how much info you want. So funny that it fell for the US, stayed the same for some places, and went up for other places. Kind of cool.
Makes sense for Europe, considering a lot of websites just refuse to operate after GDPR.
Yeah, they're just like, no, we're not going to hold data anymore. Yeah. So interesting. What else we got? Cloned ATM cards. Dramatic increase from 2015 to 2018 in vendors offering cloned ATM cards. Interesting. I thought all the chip and pin stuff was supposed to make that better, but apparently not. Okay. So for $250, maybe get a $5,000 cloned ATM card. Not too bad. Very popular way for smaller cyber criminals to enter the market. So if you're looking on getting into the bad cybers, that's what you should go into. Not credit card numbers, cloned ATM cards. Good. This is interesting. I'm enjoying this one. Oh, passport data. All right. Market for passports increased substantially. Maybe not surprising, given a lot of the various like migrations that are happening around the world. Maybe there's more of a demand for passports and passport details. Yeah. One seller offers a U.S. green card, passport, visa, driver's license, and insurance card for $2,000. That's a solid deal. Another vendor offers an Ontario driver's license and Canadian passport. Only $1,000 for Canadian stuff. But you get the free healthcare with that. That's stupid. Why would you charge more for the American stuff? Then you still have to pay the healthcare on top of that. That seems weird to me. Diplomatic passports from multiple countries for $2,000. Apparently, like, why is Canadian stuff not worth much? That's weird. I find that very interesting. Oh, that's true. Yeah, so there's like a 100% freedom tax to buy the American creds. Yeah, okay. Awesome. Cool. What else we got? Fraudulent prescriptions. All right, this should be good. Oh, who knows? Vendors were offering a single fraudulent label from well-known pharmacies for $62.40. I like that they got the cents in there for this one, and $60 respectively. Lure a customer to buy more. Codeine, which was advertised for $52 but did not specify a dosage. So somewhere there was a posting for codeine, $52. Because if you didn't know, codeine's not legal in the US. It is up here. You just say, I have a really bad headache, and they give you Tylenol 3s. But down there, they're like, I don't know, have some Motrin or something. Interesting. A teaser offerings. I like that. Interesting. All right, good to know. Well, there you go. There's your dark market price updates. I always find that stuff really interesting. That's kind of, Oh, popular phishing subject lines. Maybe we'll let our guest speaker do his talk, and we'll talk about this one next time because I don't want to steal any of his thunder. Yeah, no problem. By the way, this you better have used this graphic because this is awesome. Just two guys fishing over the touchpad is probably the coolest thing ever. If you didn't, I'm disappointed. So California introduced a piece of legislation to require that if you're going to produce an IoT device, it has not a stupid password. So it can't be like password or in the top 25 or top 100 common passwords. Like it has to be a good password. That was the law. But there's people saying it's not going to fix IoT security, which is true, but it's a step in the right direction. You may have heard the awesome joke. What does the S in IoT stand for? Security. Yeah, because there's no S in it. That's the joke. It's a really good joke. I think it's a good joke. You folks. The problem being, you could make the password really complicated, but if you hard code passwords into these things, someone's going to figure out what it is and post it, right? There's a whole lot of other issues with IoT software and IoT devices as well. They run services they're not supposed to. Lots of them just allow unauthenticated access. But the fact that California is saying no, you have to try like a little bit if you're going to sell this stuff to make it secure. That's a step in the right direction, at least. Yeah, totally. But then for every step in the right direction, there's like a giant leap backwards. So the Mirai botnet from last year, the year before, that was all the compromised webcams that got turned into this huge DDoS engine. A couple of those companies have turned things around and started layering more authentication and stuff like that on top of their webcams. But this one manufacturer was like, no, we're not doing that. And have continued to release loads and loads of cameras that apparently super insecure. Some security researchers found by purchasing some of their devices and doing some research that, yeah, they're still wide open and can be infected with malware that lets you use these things as backdoors or nodes in a botnet and stuff like that. So, what's that? No, it's this place that I'm not even going to try to say. Google Plus, which apparently people used. So Google shut it down, but they realized that there were some services still running, and there was some data exposed and available, and they were like, oops, sorry, our bad, they took it down. But some folks were so angry about that they tried to sue Google. I don't know who even used that in the first place. Yeah, I don't know who used that service to begin with, but whatever. So yeah, if you had data on Google Plus, hopefully you took that down. I don't know. Maybe you never used it.
Like a Project Zero stuff, like their complaint how Project Zero wasn't talking about this.
Yeah, well, I mean, they Project Zero has talked about some Google projects at times. They try to separate them, but yeah. The people were angry that Google didn't really say much about this. I had to. Maybe you saw the video where people were like zoomed in on Kanye when he was in the White House. He took his phone out of his pocket and entered his password, and it was just 0000000, and everyone was talking about how, wow, that's a really secure password. It's a problem. Here's the video. Let's watch the video.
Do you agree?
Let's watch. I mean, that was a pretty solid password. Like, he's got the speed of login. That's pretty good. I mean, points for that. Just yeah. But like maybe use like the face thing or the fingerprint thing. Security for super rich people though is actually a field that some go into. What happens is really, really, really rich people, or we call them high net worth individuals. These are folks that are worth millions or more. They have entire companies that basically run their lives for them. Like really wealthy people essentially are a business. Just the fact that they are that wealthy, their like daily income produces so much money in just interest that they need a small business just to run it. So what they will do is they have law firms or their insurance providers that will go out and find contractors, and you'll go and you'll do like security assessments, and you'll find out later on that the company you were testing was actually the company that essentially runs some like oil baron's life. So that's like a real service you can get into if you want to. So if you want to go and like, tell Kanye that he needs a better pin for his phone or something like that, or you're the one that set it all up for him, that's a line of work that you can get into. Yeah.
Even more easy not to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I think for a lot of the really rich people, they go like for Kanye, you get a lot of calls, so he goes to a phone every 2 weeks and just doesn't really care.
Yeah, I mean they get given so much stuff too. Some of them, or like they'll have people that like rotate their devices for them. It's actually kind of a complicated thing, being the like infosec person for a really rich person, or even just a company that has a lot of the stuff to deal with. It'd be a neat role to get into. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it'd be annoying. I don't know.
No Kanye, don't put the camera connected to the internet in your bedroom.
Yeah, but that's a piece of art, man. Maybe it's for an art installation. You can't fight an artist on that. This one, I didn't even really want to mention it, but the title was just so good that I had to, because I couldn't even say it when I tried. So, rap for WhatsApp chat app chaps in phone to phone security nap flap, maybe? Anyways. What it was is Natalie Silvanovich with Google Project Zero, I think I said her name right, found out that there was a bug in the WhatsApp call app for I think Android and iPhone where just receiving an incoming call could compromise the app and then possibly therefore your device. So she was like, hey, this is the thing, you should patch your phone. Which is a pretty like brutal security feature, the fact that just receiving an incoming call could pwn your phone. Yep. By the way, if you want to know, read up on her other work. Natalie's also done really cool work on like Tamagotchi hacking, which is the coolest thing ever. Seriously, she sometimes tweets that like she found new ones and found roots into them and hacks them and stuff, which is super cool. Yeah. This one was interesting. This is from Portswigger, who are the people that make Burp. I think they have a stupid company name. Sorry if you're listening to me, but it is. But so they make the Burp Suite. So they see a lot of different info on website and web vulns. So this year from last year, they published this list of top 10 like web app hack techniques. And it's interesting to note the things that are in here and the things that are not in here. There's some neat ones. So binary web shell through OP cache and PHP 7. Yeah, so just like a low-level exploit in PHP. What's interesting? Request encoding to bypass application firewalls, which is neat. Normally, what you can do is set up an application firewall that looks for particular strings being submitted into your web app, and you can reject on those. But if you encode your text in a way that the web app will understand, but the application firewall won't understand, it's like a pretty cool bypass. Lots of people found insecure config settings in AWS apps, so it was a thing they had to bring up. Flash. This Flash is stupid. Web cache deception, which is interesting. I got to read more on that one because I don't even know what it is. But poisoning web caches with malicious content, I guess, is a way that you can do that. And lots of server-side request forgery, which is a new spin on cross-site request forgery, where you're doing the exploit on some system at the back end as opposed to another user who's using the system. It's interesting because a lot of these aren't necessarily in like OWASP top 10 or like they're weird like edge cases or specific instances of some of the stuff. So it's just a really neat write-up on that. So go read that. It'll be interesting. That's kind of it for news. Oh yeah, and the big one. Sorry, I didn't talk about the big one because there was so many links I had for it. I didn't open them. So we'll open the main one first. So this was the big piece of news though over the last 2 weeks. Basically, Bloomberg wrote this big article that they said that they worked with lots of sources for. This is a great graphic. I'm just going to leave it on this. Saying that a whole ton of products from Supermicro, I think is the company name, who supply to like Amazon, to Apple, to lots of large big tech companies, these server products. And they were saying that there was a tiny little chip on there that wasn't what the chip claimed to be, and it was actually this like little remote device that would give attackers a backdoor into the systems that were sold. I think they have a picture of, go down here. There's this tiny little chip right there. And that was the allegation. It's interesting because people for a long time have talked about these types of supply chain hacks and the idea that the actual manufacturer gets compromised and someone embeds either malicious software or hardware into the device that you've ordered. So the second you plug it in, you're already compromised. And because it's so like tiny and it's hardware based, no piece of software is going to fix this. So it was a great big deal when they released this article and everybody was freaking out. But then very, very shortly afterwards, you start to get stuff like this. This was like later the same day, I think, October 4th. This was published, October 4th, 5 a.m. October 4th, I don't see a timestamp on there, but it was like later the same day. And this is Amazon's security blog, basically them using some pretty strong language saying, no, that Bloomberg article is total bullshit. We don't have this on our servers. Their sources aren't reliable, stuff like that, which is interesting.
There was a compilation article about all the responses.
Yeah, I think I might have one in here somewhere. So in addition to AWS coming out and saying that, Apple also came out and said no, their story's wrong. But then Bloomberg came out again and said, well, no, we think it's right, and we have more articles coming in this series. And then the U.S. government, I think it was the NSA, came out, or maybe not the NSA, some government security body in the U.S. said, no, we're with Apple and Amazon, it's okay. And then I think it was the Norwegian internal security group came out and said, no, we think there's something here. So like all week, it's been people saying, yeah, there's a thing. No, there's not a thing. Yeah, there's this thing. So, I mean, obviously, I don't know anything about the finer details of this, so I'm not going to comment. But the notion of a supply chain compromise like this is fascinating. And people have dreamed about these and talked about these and written about them for a long time. Because this is what you don't want to happen, right? You want to at least assume that when you buy hardware and software, it is secure when you plug it in, right? But if it's already compromised when it comes to your door, what are you going to do? That's, what was that thing? You okay? You gonna leave? All right. That's it. That's all I got for news. Unless anybody else saw something cool and they want to talk about it.
Yeah, did you see that, like, supposedly, like, ex-Tesla employee who got out of his NDA, basically picking apart all of Tesla's tech, and it's a monstrosity.
I did not.
Hilariously terrifying, whereas, like, they were running on Node.js, and they had to scale up to Golang. It's just some ragtag cluster of Ubuntu servers, and they do, like, this weird, slow FTP file transfer of, like, half a case, like an hour to upgrade the firmware on their charging stations, and like there's no oversight or testing on any of their software. There was a period of time where they bricked the entire fleet of cars for a period of a couple hours.
It's a pretty damning accusation. Did they come out and say anything in response to that?
Well, nobody's confirmed or denying it, but a bunch of people have been going like, the way it's phrased, this is at the very minimal. This guy has a good software engineering background because of how accurate his statements are for most things generally. So worst case scenario is just some software engineer who's claiming he's a Tesla guy and saying legitimate stuff. But
Interesting.
nobody's denied it yet.
I didn't see that. I did see Elon Musk saying he wanted to come up with like Tesla Tequila, which is going to be like his own branded type of tequila. So
Was he including it out?
I don't know. It's on. He was tweeting it earlier today, man. I don't know. Yeah, cool. That's neat. I wonder how much, like.
It's a long Q&A session.
Oh, yeah?
This guy. Like, you can go look at it.
Oh, yeah, I will.
It gets worse and worse as it goes on.
Neat.
There were some good summarized ones.
Yeah, okay, cool. Anybody see anything else? Like I said, other than the Bloomberg thing, it was a pretty quiet week, or a couple of weeks in security.
The email saying an old form I used got hacked in 2010.
Oh, nice. Which form?
MMO champion.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So change your password if you haven't in 8 years.
Yeah. I love getting those ones. Like a service you forgot you used ages and ages ago got compromised. Yeah,
Well, the
amazing.
LinkedIn one, like, reached 2012, they sent an email in 2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like anybody that wanted to pop you long ago used all that. Yeah, totally. Cool.
Just the one thing that I posted 2 weeks ago, which was
Is that one of the mage cart ones, like the point of sale compromise? Did we talk about?
Yeah, they own beer, they own
Mm.
LCs, they own one.
I'll go with you.
Yeah.
Everyone that you could possibly imagine.
Remember that gift card where you can use it at any restaurant? You go to-
Yeah,
Nice, nice.
That's them.
Good.
Yeah, they got hacked.
Nice.
I found that one out because all of a sudden that day I work at Jack Astor's, right next to us are friendly competitors, Milestones, who was one of my carriers confused why they weren't open at 12 o'clock
Mm-hmm.
in the day.
Yeah.
So we were like, what's going on? And we said, oh, we got hacked. And then all of a sudden, all of their customers came to us and it made 13 days.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Sucks for them.